Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining us for the first Windows in the Cloud Ask Microsoft Anything for 2024. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Thanks for joining for anywhere you are. Just like you can connect to your Windows 365 Cloud PC or your Azure Virtual Desktop VM. I am your host, Christian Montoya, and I'm joined by four awesome guests today as we cover everything Windows 365 end user experiences and clients. And so I want to let them introduce themselves. I'll start with you, Colby.
Hey, thanks, Christian. Yeah, I'm Colby. I'm a PM on the client experiences team, and I own all of our web experiences. So everything from the Windows app, web portal, and web client, the Windows 365 web experiences, the AVD web client, and our underlying RD web core that we use to build all those experiences. So good to be here.
Perfect. Alina?
Hi, hi. My name is Alina, and I'm a product manager in the WCX space. I'm on the end user experience team as well, and I currently work on projects involving Windows integrations. So, any questions around Windows 365 Boot and Switch? Hillary?
All right. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm Hillary. I'm also on the end user experiences team in the Windows and Windows Cloud org, and I own everything Windows. So Windows 365 app, Windows app for Windows, remote desktop client for Windows, and all the different varieties of ways you can access your remote resources from a Windows platform.
And I guess I'm the last one. Hi, everyone. Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Marvin. I'm in the same team as everyone on the call. I'm a program manager, and I work in front of our customers, gathering insights, trying to understand how they use our solutions, their key blockers, and I bring those back to the team that we have here on the call to help them prioritize and identify which ones our customers need the most so that we can improve our product accordingly.
Perfect. Yeah, we have a great team here. Marvin, thanks for joining. I don't remember if this is your first time, but we always
It
value
is.
your input. And perfect. Well, welcome to the show. We do
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you on the team bringing feedback to us, so that way we can make sure that for everyone listening, that we're making products that meet your needs. So um, I wanted to just cover some quick announcements because I feel like it's pretty timely for this AMA. Alina, do you want to highlight what's going on with some of those Windows integrated experiences?
Yeah, sure. So January 11th, we actually went into public preview V2 for Windows 365 Boot and Switch. We had a few really exciting new features that showed up. One is shared dedicated mode. So if you remember back in last year in September, we went generally available with Windows 365 Boot, and we had shared mode. So basically, you have multiple people using one device. So this was a great experience for shift workers. So with this new release, we came out with what we're calling dedicated mode. So each user is actually assigned their own cloud PC. And of course, without that comes personalization. So you get that nice personalized experience. You have your username and your profile picture and your sign-in screen. And most importantly, you also get Windows Hello with that. So that's pretty exciting. We also came out with company branding. A lot of people have been asking for that. So we're happy to say that we finally have that available. That's available in shared mode. So you can actually, within the Windows 365 Intune guided scenario, you can go ahead and add your company logo and your company name, and even the back screen, the lock screen for that as well. So that's available in public preview today. You can try that out. And then we did put a little more visibility into getting access to local settings. So shortly after GA, we had support for Bluetooth. So if you're in your Windows 365 boot device and you would like to, add a Bluetooth device, you can go to your quick settings, or you can go to your settings app, and you can see the like local button right on the Bluetooth section. So today we just added that in more places, so you can update your display, your sound, and you can get to your local settings easier. And we did have some interesting new updates in Switch area as well for public preview. If you have purchased a frontline license, you can go ahead and use Windows 365 Switch with frontline, and there'll be a smooth connection experience there. And then we also added a disconnect option directly in your local device. So if you're logged into your cloud PC and you're in your local device and you want to disconnect when you're in your local, it's really easy to do that. You can just hover over the task view, right click, and you'll see the disconnect button. And then one interesting one that we came out with, because we kept hearing when you use Windows 365 Switch, I don't know if I'm on my local or on my cloud PC because it just looks so similar. So we added a few more indicators when you switch back and forth, you can see little indicators popping up saying you're in your cloud PC or you're in your local device. So those are the kind of highlights that we came out Jan 11th. So please try it out. It's in public preview, and you'll see when you go to the guided scenario for Boot, you'll see the option for the public preview tile, and that's how you can test out those features.
Perfect. And is there a specific build of Windows, or which version of Windows do they use?
Yeah, it's a 22H2 H3, so you just need to be on the latest Windows build. And there is an ak.ms link that we can post. I'll find it in a second. I think it's it's ak.ms/Windows 365 Boot, but I'll find it, and there you have all the instructions on the specifics and the details.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, those are a rich set of scenarios and features that we added. So kudos to the team for taking all the feedback from initial 23H2 and building on top of that. So I kind of wanted to pivot over also to Hillary and Colby. I know that you both are working on the Windows app. I'm curious how the previews are going. I know customers are curious on when that'll be generally available. I don't know if we have dates yet, but just how's the preview going?
Yeah, the preview is going absolutely great. We're getting a ton of amazing feedback from customers and end users, and we're really excited about Windows app. We don't have a date for GA, like you said, Christian. We're driving towards a quality-driven release for GA, so we don't have a date yet, but look for it coming up. Yeah, we're really working hard on this and making sure and taking in that customer feedback and making sure it's what our customers want. So
Perfect. And Colby, for you, what are some of the top requested features that you're seeing on all the web experiences?
Yeah, I mean, we have a myriad of features that we're working on in the next 6 months, of course. So we have a lot that we want to get done before we GA. One of those coming from our AVD customers is private link support. So right now, private link support is not available in the Windows app, web portal, and web client. So we're trying to get that done. We have a new domain that we're supporting, and we are also making some major UX changes in the web experiences. Other than that, we have a bunch of other web client features, but those are the first ones that come to mind. But yeah, just making sure that we make it like a really rich experience with complete parity when we talk about like the AVD web client and the Windows 365 web client as they exist today. But just better looking and better performant when we talk about Windows apps. So reaching that complete and 100% parity with our other web experiences is our ultimate goal, and we're making good progress towards that.
Perfect. So part of that parity experience is with AVD also being able to do the remote app experience. Is that already available today?
Yeah. Yep. You can access your remote apps in all of our clients today.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm so excited for that combined experience everywhere. I think for the overall project, I'm just most excited for the fact that not only is everything going to be combined, but we start to label where your resource is coming from, whether it's an AVD VM and you have the controls that you have, or it's a cloud PC, Windows 365, and so you have those specific controls. So I'm really excited that everyone has one place to go and they get that tailored experience based off of what they're trying to connect to.
And Christian, I can echo on that. So across all the enterprise customers that we work with, I mean, they really love our strategy with the Windows app, unifying the experience. And one of our big customers in Europe actually highlighted that one of the features that they've been asking for came with the Windows app out of by surprise. So one that feature is really pinning stuff, right? To be able to give users the capability to organize the app in which makes them more productive, like because each person will have different styles, different resources to connect to, and having that simple capability, they love what we've done and the path that we're going towards.
Perfect. I was actually going to pivot over to you, so I'm so glad you jumped in. I was going to say, hey, Marvin, what do people think about that? That was my own opinion. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
jumped in.
Yeah, no, they do love the direction. Like one of the pain points that we've heard for the past couple of years is just the disparate experience across different platforms, right? Having it unified makes it a lot easier for our enterprise customers to perform, adoption readiness across their users. Because a lot of these organizations, they have to do readiness across their all user space before doing a deployment. And if it's a different experience for each platform, it takes a lot of effort to prepare those materials. It takes a lot of effort for users to understand the differences. So our initiative with unifying the experience really highlights that we do want to make the user experience a lot better, and we also listen to our customers' feedback.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, go ahead, Hillary.
Oh, I was just going to say to add to that too, not just a different experience across platforms, but even across services. So like within Windows, you might have different instructions for somebody accessing a Windows 365 Cloud PC versus an AVD-VM. So bringing those into one application is going to be great for streamlining training and getting users used to accessing the resources.
Yeah, and kind of to go off of both of those, I always forget just how important the like the user guides that admins provide are, until I'd also try to use another like Microsoft service just for work. I'm like, how do I actually do this? And then our own our own like IT and folks have guides like, oh yeah, that was pretty useful, huh? So yeah, I'm glad, Marvin. I'm glad that we're by consolidating, we're going to make it easier for admins to help their users. So perfect. We do have a question coming in from the tech community. What's the best way to access a Windows 365 Cloud PC from a Mac?
Yeah, I can take this one. So we have a couple of different ways that you can access your Cloud PC from Mac today. And it depends a little bit on your preference. So I'll start out by saying first off that we do have a Windows App public preview of our Mac and iOS clients. Since those clients are on Apple, that public preview looks a little bit different. And so we have a limited number of seats basically, or spots available for people to test out those clients right now in public preview on these Apple platforms. So you can go over to our documentation and find out the instructions on how to possibly enter into our public preview for the Mac client if you'd like to do so, if there's spots that are opening or reopening. But if you don't want to go through that, or we don't have spots open, because that's been a little bit tricky. Right now, you can go ahead and you can access from the Windows App Public Preview client, web client. You can access from the Windows 365 web portal web client on Mac as well, in whatever browser you choose to use. Or you can also access from the remote desktop app on Mac. Those are going to be your different options.
Perfect. Let's see, and then also another question we have from Scott on the tech community. On tech community. With the latest update of the Windows 365 app, now the Windows app, how can I manage this from an enterprise level and also disable the preview option?
Yeah, so I can take that one. We do have a link we can share at some point here that will lead you to documentation on how to control that preview toggle in Windows app. So you do have the option to completely disable it and prevent your users from seeing it. And I believe that's controlled by a reg key, but there's more details in the documentation.
Okay, perfect. So in that case, it does mean that the enterprise is pushing the app, but at the same time that they push the app, they can also control said registry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Um, and then for my own knowledge, Hillary, for pushing the app, is the uh the Windows app on Windows, is that only available through the store? Or are there kind of offline versions of it?
Yeah, so it is only available through the store right now, but we are working on providing direct downloads and off like non-store deployment options. We've heard a lot of feedback from customers that this is a critical feature and something they need to effectively deploy the application to all of their devices and users. So yeah, so we are working on that. We don't have a release date for it right now, but we are bringing that to the Windows app. And that will also include an auto update. So the people that choose to use non-store deployment will automatically get all of the newest and best features and security fixes for the app.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and for folks, yeah, for all the documentation for the Windows app, you can go to the ak.ms/Windows app. And then also, for what Hillary was just describing, you can go to ak.ms slash W365 toggle preview, and that'll lead you, um, yeah, to the documentation for how you can do that. So, Scott, if you're listening, hopefully that helps that helps you. And if not, we also invite you to ask more questions here. Okay, perfect. Um, I think so. I think we addressed this earlier, but I'll ask because someone has asked. When will the Windows app on Windows GA?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we don't have a definitive GA date for Windows app quite yet. Keep your ears peeled for more information on that. But we're working on bringing in a lot of critical features, and we want to, make sure that this app will work for customers in all situations and for all end users. So we're really working to bring in some great features to Windows app, and for that reason, don't have a date for GA quite yet.
Perfect. Thanks, Hillary. Marvin, back to you.
Mhm.
Hillary was saying how the offline deployment model, the non-store app model, was one of the pieces of feedback that her and the team have been receiving. What else are you seeing that's important for enterprises to deploy the apps or manage the apps broadly?
I mean, for a majority of the enterprises, it's really giving admins more control. Like one perfect example was the question from Scott earlier was having the ability to, control when the toggle comes on and off, because a lot of our enterprise customers wants to manage when an app gets updated or wants to control which version they want their users to use on. A lot of the issues they're trying to avoid really is compatibility issues or even changes to the way users work, right? As I said earlier, they want to be able to perform um, readiness prior to deployment. So really one of the big feedback that we've been hearing a lot is giving admins more control on what admins can configure on the app, like things like the toggle, things like the non-store download option, because going back to the same theme is this admins want to be able to control when and where the app is coming from. I mean, it's not. We're trying to change the mindset as well because there's a lot of misconception in the past where the Windows Store is blocked in an enterprise organization because of security concerns. So we want to change that mindset and highlight that we do have a very strong app validation process on the store, and we can even lock it down to specific certain apps and not open it up to all commercial apps where users can download any app from the store. I mean, the store option really is our preferred approach because it makes maintaining the app a lot easier, not just for us, but also for the IT admins, because there's one less thing that they have to think about. But yeah, overall, it's really more control on how they can manage and how the users see the app.
Do you see that? Speaking of just the managing the apps and control, do you um see from customers that they are always deploying and managing the app, or is there also a mix of users coming from um, devices that company doesn't directly manage and
Yeah,
own?
I mean, definitely we see that, especially for scenarios where a customer has embraced hybrid work, right, where they allow their users to work, at home or anywhere basically, and be able to use any of the user's devices. So we see the need for their users to access AVD, Windows 365, or any of our VDI resources from an unmanaged device in those kind of situations. We do still see some organizations, especially highly regulated ones like financial services organization, where they only allow access to their resources with a managed device. I mean, a lot of this is stemming from security concerns and security requirements. But one of the things that is being highlighted in those discussions is the need for flexibility, like for our app to be able to adjust accordingly, right? If a user is coming from an unmanaged device, okay, give access but have limited control. But if a user is coming from a fully managed device, then open up a little bit more compared to the unmanaged device scenario. But yeah,
Right. So
we're hearing both.
right. So like conditional access, but for the like AVD features or whatnot. So
Correct.
whatever good word for that is.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, so we do have a question from Jerry on X, formerly Twitter. Will the Windows app replace the remote desktop app, or will they exist in parallel?
Yeah, so there will be a period of time in which they exist in parallel. The goal, though, is to move everyone to the Windows app, but in a time frame that works. So we're not going to just flip a switch and turn off remote desktop app by any means. It will be a slow and well-communicated process.
Okay, cool. And that's across all the platforms, right?
Correct.
Okay, sweet. On Tech Community from Mark, can you please make the Microsoft Remote Help an included app in the Intune Microsoft Store? Currently is not available, so I need to create a custom Win32 app to push to Windows devices, including my cloud PCs. Also, any news on a native client for Linux bare metal to connect to Windows 365? So yeah, for remote help, that is feedback that we can take to the team. We do partner closely with the Intune team as well. If you have other feedback like that, please do continue sharing on our ak.ms link, the ak.ms/w365 feedback. And also, that feedback site is for not just our product. You can find other products as well. Hillary, do you remember is Intune on there too?
I think it might be. I haven't specifically looked for Intune in a minute though,
Okay.
so I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so they might be there. But great feedback. On your second question, is there any news on a native client for Linux to connect to Windows 365? Can folks confirm? I'm pretty sure that we don't. We partner with some Linux partners, but we don't have our own client or have any plans for our own client. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We've partnered with a couple of partners in the space. So if it's relevant to you as a customer and you use things like iGel and whatnot, you can go and seek out those solutions. And those are generally made for like specific types of customers who are already using solutions made by those partners. Other than that, we do not have a dedicated Windows 365 Linux client, and we don't have that in our plans right now.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. Oh, and this is a question from Eddie. Is there any reason not to use a mix of multiple Windows 365 boot guided setups? I'm not quite sure how to interpret that, but Alina,
I'm trying to understand too. So If you're talking about the two different ways you can set up Windows 365 Boot, you either have the shared mode or you have the dedicated mode. So you might have both types of use cases in your company. So you can use both if that's what the question is. But if you're asking, so just again, the shared mode is great for shift workers. So if you have people at your company who are just sitting at your desk and come at a desk and they're coming in and a new person comes in again and you don't want to you can just use one device. You don't want to have many different devices. That's where shared mode really makes more sense. With dedicated mode, you might be giving your device, a device to somebody who's working elsewhere, or they just have their own device, or they work from home or different places. Just a normal setup. In that case, dedicated mode might be more convenient. And the other reason that you think, well, even if somebody's working from home, we can still use shared mode. Yes, but then you might not get those. You might want that personalization feeling, and also the Windows Hello, the PIN and password. You get that with dedicated mode. So you can use a mix of both.
Yeah, I think probably part of that too is um if an admin accidentally targets the old, the existing GA policy, and then also a new, like the preview one, if they accidentally target the same user, do you know what would happen or what experience they would get if their device is Windows 11 uh boot eligible?
Can you say that again? If they put them on shared
Yeah,
mode and then
Yeah, so basically if the user is on the supported Windows 11 version to run the
Mhm.
new boot that's in preview, what if that same user is assigned a policy for each of those two guided scenarios? Do you know what would happen? Like, would the
Oh,
new one take preference?
yeah, that's interesting. I think you would have to remove that user from the first one and then add them to the dedicated.
Okay.
So I don't know if that would be something
So
that,
Yeah, so maybe the first one takes precedence for okay. Yeah, maybe
yeah.
that's something to follow up. It's an interesting question, Eddie. So thank you. Also, it looks like there's more nested questions in there. So let's see, Eddie, what you're asking. So how do I view all configurations of previous Windows 365 boot guided wizards? So is there a
Yeah.
history of guided scenarios?
So that's interesting. So yeah, you can't like you would have to go to each different place in Intune to see what configurations were set. If that's something that somebody really wants, I think we can take that feedback where you can, if once you set it and you go to that one place and see all of them. We don't have that today, but you can still see where you've set certain policies within Intune if you like moving around Intune. So I'll take that feedback. I heard that before from somebody as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Eddie, for that question. And then also, um, another part two of the question is I believe preview is needed on the OS for Windows 365 boot. If a regular GA Windows 11 Pro was added to assignment group um, for the guided scenario, would the machine get converted into a boot device?
So the only way that it will get converted is if you go through the entire setup, because you need to download the apps on the device as well as the policies. So I don't think that it would just get automatically converted. The best thing is to start from a clean slate, a clean device, and then go through the guided flow. So you can get the apps first, and then you can get the policies, and that will be a smoother setup. Then you won't face any issues. If that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
think because I think the question is, we typically always talk about having Windows Enterprise installed on the physical machine. I think they're asking if I have only Windows 11 Pro, so not Enterprise but Pro,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
will boot will boot
Yes,
work
the
on it?
Pro, Enterprise and Pro is supported, and Home is not.
Okay, so Pro supported. Got it. Sweet. So Eddie, hopefully answered your questions. Please ask more. These are really good questions, so keep them coming. And thank you, Lena, for providing clarity there. Um, from Vignesh Vadan, any keyboard shortcut keys to switch between local desktop and the cloud PC when using Switch in task view? I am currently testing Switch and finding mouse pointer to task view quite confusing. Any shortcut keys would be helpful.
Oh, yes. So that is Control Alt Left, Control Alt Left Right.
Got it. Yeah. So yeah, because basically, if you do Windows left, that's moving an app usually to the left of the screen or changing the monitor. And then I think at least I've been using Control Start. So maybe I'll try Control Alt, but I think Control
and
Start.
it's the same shortcut you would do if you were to move between your different desktops.
Oh, okay.
if
So
you
it's the
have that-
same. Got it. Okay. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
if you're
Control
already
Alt
used,
Left.
yeah, if you are already used to using the built-in Windows feature of virtual desktops, that's fun. If you're used to that,
Yeah.
then it should be the same. And then also it's the same idea where if you do the Windows tab to pull up within the desktop
Yes.
all the apps and or you want to see the next one, you can use that same one. I appreciate the
that's
question
right.
very
You can
much.
see all of them.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you can see all of your desktops if you do that, including the cloud PC as well.
Perfect.
So you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one other shortcut that I've been using is sorry to cut in, Christian. One other shortcut that I've been using is just Windows Tab. Like it opens up the task view, so you don't have to put your mouse at the taskbar. It just shows you all the desktops. Then you can click your CPC or Windows 365 PC.
Yeah. So
And
that's
the other
Windows
thing,
tab.
a lot of people have a tendency to click on the task view button and then everything pops up. For me, it's even faster if you just hover over the task view button and you'll see those desktops pop up, and then I just click on one or the other. That one is even quicker. A lot of people.
Wait, what the heck? That's a thing?
Yeah. A lot of people just click on it. It's like natural to click on the button, but if you click on the button, everything pops up. It might look confusing. But if you just hover over it, and then you can move your mouse left or right from your local to your cloud PC.
Okay, that's crazy. I just learned something new today. And sure enough, I see it. What? Yeah, that's crazy. I will start using that more now. Oh my gosh. Thank you for informing us, Elena. Okay, question from Steve. Oh, this is a fun question. Can you give a quick summary of why one would choose Windows 365 compared to AVD? Marvin, I feel like this is a great question for you.
Yeah, no, I could take that. I mean, so to begin with, like AVD is your platform as a service solution for VDI. So if you or your organization have a lot of VDI background, familiarity with how to operate a VDI solution from the bottom up, then that is going to be one of the solutions to look into. It gives you more flexibility, more control in a lot of the moving pieces in the solution. So Windows 365, on the other hand, is a software as a service or desktop as a service solution where some of the big things that you used to control as a VDI admin is now managed and controlled by Microsoft. So it makes it a lot more easier and simpler in terms of an admin / provisioning experience. And we do see a lot of customers having both, right? So it's no longer, is it AVD or is it Windows 365? We're seeing a lot of customers going with both because they see both the strength for both solutions. We're in AVD giving you a lot more widgets and controls as an admin to customize the solution based on your needs. And on the other hand, you have Windows 365 where it's a lot more flexible and simpler to provision for scenarios where you want to quickly provision a set of desktops for a set of users, in no time. But yeah, so that's a quick comparison, I would say, in a nutshell. But as I mentioned, it really depends on the use case, on how complex the use case is, or how much technical experience maybe you've had in the past with VDI solutions. But we've seen more and more customers adopting a combination of both.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that was probably one of the simplest explanations. It's obviously a big question, but yeah, thank you for highlighting, especially because the combination of the two services, at least a lot of customers are seeing both those. Both services provide value in different areas. So yeah, thanks for highlighting that. Hopefully that also answered your question, um, Steve. So again, feel free to provide more. There's a question from Chuck. So as part of the offboarding process, we hold. So this is for Windows 365. As part of our offboarding process, we hold machines for 30 days. Is there a way to remove access to a cloud PC without placing the device in grace mode? So, um, that's a great question. Do folks know?
I don't know on top of my head. That's a good question.
Yeah, because I do know that we have a in the Windows 365 admin experience, we have the place cloud PC under review, which is a little bit more catered towards um, your kind of Microsoft purview and usually trying to see if there's any threats on the device. And that allows you uh, to like capture the VHD into a storage account that you own. And you can also control um, and in that instance, you can hold connections to the cloud PC. So that toggle is there, but it seems it might work for your scenario. It might be overkill for your scenario. But I would suggest looking at the place cloud PC under review action for that one. And then another question that also is, I think, is a really good question. Is there a way to see if the user is connected through the Windows app or the web portal, um, either in Intune or in Azure?
Yeah, I mean, I can take a stab on this one. There is a way, at least on Entra ID, especially if you have conditional access turned on, because in the logs in Entra ID, you can see where the user is authenticating from. So you can clearly see if it's coming from a web browser or a platform-specific app like Windows app for Windows or Windows app for macOS. And at the same time, that's how conditional access uses those criteria to define and control how the app performs, right? So if you can use CA to block connections coming from the web portal and only allow from the Windows app, platform app, or Windows app for Windows or Windows app for macOS, and vice versa. Yeah, so one place to look into is Entra ID, and then you should see security logs in
Yeah,
there.
like the sign-in logs, I think.
Yeah, sign-in logs. Yeah, exactly, Christian. Yeah, that one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I remember I creating some conditional access rules, and there's the different factors. So yeah, it has like the platform. Because even on web browser, it does show which platform you're coming from, right? Too.
I'm not 100% sure. I think it
It
should, but
so it
we have
might,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah. So we can check on that. We might do
Yeah.
that. Hillary, were you going to jump in on the same thing, or was there other info?
No, I don't have any other info. Marvin's got it covered.
Yeah, I know that. So just separate from the Entra sign-in logs, we do have our uh, Cloud PC reports. I think this one's the Cloud PC connection report in Intune. It does not have the information of where users are logging in from. But it does have the latency that they're experiencing, the type of connection, um, like the TCP UDP. So if that's something you want reflected there, you can always provide feedback at our handy dandy link of ak.ms/w365 feedback. So you can post that there if you'd like to see um, the how your users are connecting. And also, if you do that, please let us know a little bit more on how that would help you manage a solution, administrate the solution for your users. That way, we get that extra reasoning. Because we don't. One of the goals with the Cloud PC reports is we don't want to add unnecessary information. We're trying to make it easy for you. And the more data that's just dropped there, we feel like it could obfuscate and make it harder for you to manage. So please just let us know why you want to use that, and that helps us prioritize it, look at it. So from Victor and Alina, this question will be for you. Can we? Okay. Oh, it says, sorry if I missed it. Can we touch base on when Windows 365 Switch will be generally available?
Yeah, so both Windows 365 Boot and Switch are generally available, and they have been since September 11th last year. But if you would like to try out some few updates that we did for both of those, for Switch, for example, you're asking, that is in public preview now, and the public preview will move to GA pretty soon in the first half of this year.
Okay, yeah, and then the link we provide on screen, the ak.ms/W365 boot preview. Do you know if that also has the details for Switch as well, Elena?
Yes, it does. Sorry that the link is like that. It yeah, aka.ms/Windows 365 boot preview should have both the boot and switch details that went into public preview January 11th of this year.
Perfect. I thought you were going to say January 24th or January 11th. They're like, is it 2023 still? Is it 2024 now? What's happening? Ooh, another good question. I love this. So, question from X. How does the Windows app work with SSO? A single sign-on.
Yeah, so Windows app will pull with SSO, it will pull the account that's on the local machine. We also have the ability to add additional accounts to Windows app. And if the local machine is not managed, so like I connect my CPC from my personal machine on a daily basis, then you will need to sign in and authenticate.
So Hillary, you're saying that if you are on, let's say your work or school account, and that's your device is enrolled, managed,
Mhm.
etc., and you bring up the app for the first time, does it automatically detect oh, you're Hillary, would you like to sign in with this account? And you just hit OK or something like that?
Yeah. So it goes through the normal authentication process where you might, if you have more than one account associated on that device, you might be able to select which
Oh, the
one.
picker.
If it's
Yeah.
just one, you'd pick the one, and then it rolls you through the login process.
Perfect. Yeah, and so then I think maybe a part two of this question is, it sounds like there's no changes needed for the admin or the user, like when they push out the new Windows app or they use the new Windows app, if they already had single sign-on configured for their AVD or Windows 365 Cloud PC. Is that correct? So no added steps for them.
Yeah, there shouldn't be.
Okay, cool. And maybe Colby, a follow-up question for you. So I know that we have two single sign-ons. We have the regular the Azure ID, Microsoft Entra ID single sign-on, which was I believe we can't remember if we GA'd it. I think we GA'd it before the holidays. But that one doesn't really require too many infrastructure changes. And then back in AVD, prior to that, we had the ADFS single sign-on. So yeah, Colby or Hillary, do you know if that ADFS based single sign-on is something we'll be including in the Windows app?
Yeah, we will. We're working with our identity expert on our team, David, to get ADFS SSO enabled. I know I'm working on that from the web perspective, and I believe all the rest of our Windows app owners from the product management side are working to get it enabled in their clients as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I have a special affinity for the ADFS single sign-on because back in the day I did work with David on the infrastructure side to support that. So it's my little it's my little feature. So thank you for the update there. And for whoever posts on X, if there's any follow-up questions on single sign-on, please jump on and ask before we finish up today. Another question we have: if a machine is configured for boot, Windows 365 boot, and the computer does get the configuration but isn't working as expected, how can we grab local logs? Is there a way that we can access the local files if the machine is in Windows 365 boot mode? Are you aware, Lena?
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm just pulling up. I'd love to show this link. This is the troubleshooter link in our public documents. If we can send this out. So basically, there's a lot of details there. Basically, you can collect the logs, Windows 365 and Microsoft Entra ID log information, and provide it to the support. And there's a detailed place where you can pull that from. So it's kind of a lot to say. If you can go to Microsoft learn.microsoft.com in Windows 365 boot troubleshooting, and I pasted the URL here. It'll have all the details of how you can pull that log information.
So yeah, as we bring that up, so yeah, ak.ms
Thank
slash
you.
troubleshoot Windows 365 boot. Perfect.
Yeah.
Echo there. But I guess the other question for you, Alina, is do we fully support the two features that are in preview? The ones that released January 11th, or do we only support what was released in GA back in 23H2? Is it both?
Well, we support the GA ones, and public preview is for you to try out, and I hope everyone is trying those out, and I hope those features are exciting enough. Like dedicated mode, people were asking for the Windows Hello for a while. If you have some questions, I think you can still contact support if you're trying out the public preview. You can also write your concerns or questions in the blog post and that we mentioned before, the ak.ms Windows 365 boot preview, and one of our engineers or I will respond and help you there. But like the full 100% support is when we go GA pretty soon here in a couple months.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that's the ak.ms slash W365 boot preview. And then the last question I had, less from a troubleshooting, just more of a feature scenario. Are users able to, or is there some sort of setting for users to jump out of the boot experience and just go back to the full Windows 11 regular logon and experience? Is there a way to go back and forth, or
Yeah, that's a really good question. Good question, and a lot of people have been asking, and that leads to future enhancements that we're doing. So yeah, we are working on the IT admin to be able to access the local device for troubleshooting, but there's no specific work yet to say that we want everyone to be able to either go in their local easily or go in their boot device. For that, you can probably use Switch. That might be a better use case. But we are just, we're listening. So if there's people that are, very interested, we can always look at that. But we are working for IT admin to easily, get back out and do the troubleshooting. Because today, if you want to troubleshoot with what we have in public preview even and what we GA'd in September, you have to remove all the policies and then get into the local and then put it back on. So you have to go through that painful process. But we are working on a way that within the sign-in screen somewhere, there'll be just an easy way if you are an IT admin with the profile you have, that you can just click the button to get into local. So that's one of the future enhancements we're working on.
Sweet, cool. See, we have about 10 minutes left, so we probably have time for one or two more questions. So one question I have is from Victor on the tech community. Are there any requirements for single sign-on to be enabled for Windows 365? I noticed that the Azure network connections, ANCs, are successful, but they all read with information. So I can speak to this one. So Victor, for those ones, part of the reason there is the the advisory, not failure, but just advisory for the Azure Network Connections is that if you do configure single sign-on for the Entra ID joined Azure Network Connections, you will get single sign-on to the machine, or your users will get single sign-on to the cloud PCs themselves, no issues. But the reason there's advisory is if you have any like Kerberos-based apps that you're connecting to, any any older apps, line of business apps that you have that rely on sort of any Kerberos authentication, there's extra setup you need in order to make sure that that single sign-on works. Because if you don't have that extra configuration, you'll log onto a cloud PC, but then when you try to load that app or you try to access a file share, um, the users will get a prompt saying, "Hey, can you please enter your username and password? Because all you ever gave me was this Azure AD token. I don't talk Azure AD, so I need some sort of credentials." So that's why the advisory is there, to make sure that once you log in, that you could be single sign on to Kerberos based apps. So I hope that helps your question. The reason this is not as necessary for the well, actually, the same setup is what's required for the hybrid join, Entra ID hybrid join Azure Network Connections, because in order to log into Windows, you have to somehow convert that Azure AD to something that's Kerberos. So, again, it's advisory because you need that for post Cloud PC login, for the hybrid Entra hybrid join Cloud PCs. It's required in order for the users to actually log in themselves. But for more information and for all those details, you can go to ak.ms/Windows365/SSO. Okay, so probably one, maybe two more questions. From X, when should I choose a GPU offering instead of a 16 vCPU Cloud PC? What qualifies as graphic intensive? Great question. Marvin, I'm gonna chuck this over to you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I mean, I would say it really depends on the apps that you have in those machines. Like if you have like 3D rendering apps that leverages GPU, then GPU should be one of the things to consider. GPU-based VM should be one of the VMs that you should consider. We've seen this in a lot of gaming customers, for example, like game development, even like regular developers using a GPU-based VM because of the extra GPU processing that they could get with the GPUs compared to just plain CPUs. But yeah, I would say start off by looking at the apps that you use. If you have any specific specialized app that requires or works better with the GPU, then that should be one big factor to look into.
Perfect. Okay. So the last question, so we can wrap up. We have this from Andrew on Tech Community. I'm testing the new Windows 365 Boot guided scenario for both shared and dedicated. In this scenario, when I enroll my device for the first time, should I see that customized images straight away for first login, or should I see the customization images straight away for the first Win login page? And then second is for dedicated, I would expect to see my user's image. I expect to see my user's image, and for shared, the background image and tenant logo. In my experience, they're not shown on the first boot in enrollment.
Okay. So again, the branding, the logo stuff is only for a shared mode, and that kind of makes sense because of real estate mainly, because you either have your picture and your name in dedicated, or in shared mode you have the logo. So once you've configured, if you've chosen shared mode and you added your branding images, you should see them right after you log on. So if you do have any problems with that, and you're having issues seeing it after you've already uploaded in shared mode the images under the settings, go to the aka.ms Windows 365 Boot preview and just go ahead and make that comment, and we'll connect with you. We'll try to fix that. But you should see it on the first logon for shared mode.
Yeah, thanks, Selena. And I am curious for Andrew that's asking, especially because I think Andrew mentioned enrolling the device for the very first time. So yeah, we could definitely follow up on that one because I'm curious if there is like if the device was already enrolled for the organization and then it receives the boot configuration. I imagine that would be right away where all the images show up on first enrollment ever to your own Intune environment. That does seem a little tricky. But yeah, definitely, Andrew, please do follow up on the ak.ms/W365 boot preview for us to help. Okay. So we only have a couple minutes left. And hopefully you all enjoyed the discussion. Thank you for asking all the questions. Before we log off today, I want to go around the room and have each person share what they're most excited for in their product area and one thing that they want you as a customers to go try out. So Colby, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we have some really big ticket items that we're working on with our engineers this semester. So we're really excited to get some really big like security-based features ready to go for our customers, especially our AVD customers and the new Windows app web client, so that we can be ready to do a really high-quality GA. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also excited about getting our Mac and iOS clients GA'd by our PM John, because for Windows 365 customers, they've never had native clients on those platforms. And I find that super exciting. I know we even have like Windows 365 frontline customers that are wanting to use on those platforms. So that'll be super excited to get more and more of our customers unblocked and access to Windows 365 and AVD, no matter where they're accessing from. My only advice to customers right now is to please go ahead and test out our new Windows app experience on web. You can find it at windows.cloud.microsoft. And please give it a little test out. No matter how much you want to use it or how frequently you want to use it right now, any usage helps us. And we want our customers to start getting familiar with it. So thank you.
Perfect, Elena.
I'll go next. So obviously we are very excited for the GA of our V2 of Windows 365 Boot and Switch. And we are really hoping that everyone will be trying it out, giving us your feedback. Your feedback is really important, especially with, prioritizing what we're going to work on next. So we really take that in and we really try to put that in our timeline. So please try it out. Specifically the boot ones, they have a lot of exciting new features. Like a lot of people have been asking for that Windows Hello. So we really would love everyone to, try the boot public preview out as much as you can. Leave us feedback in that aka.ms Windows 365 boot preview link, whether it works, whether you like something, whether you want something like Christian, you mentioned accessing local from the boot, things like that. So just excited to get the feedback and get into our V2 GA for boot and switch.
All right. So from a Windows perspective, really what I'm excited about, and this is something that's already available in Windows app in preview today, is the customization and pinning experience of the home page. So we really think this will be beneficial for people who have more than one device or app that they're trying to access. And we want our customers and users to test it, try it, and give us feedback on it. On another note, I'm really excited about Windows app coming to Android as well. So we don't have a specific timeline for that, but I know that's another platform where we've heard a lot of feedback and requests for a native Windows 365 experience, and also for the AVD experiences in remote desktop as well. So really excited for that coming up.
Perfect. Marvin?
Yeah, and for me, just really excited for the direction of the Windows app. So my ask really is for everyone in the call listening, watching, is to just test it out, whether you're an AVD, whether you're Windows 365, whether you have both. Test it out, give us feedback to the store app, to the store reviews, to the AK.ms feedback. We listen to all of those, and we love to hear what you think and what we can do to improve the client.
Perfect. Yeah, and then thanks everyone for joining. You can catch us next month, February 21st for the next AMA for Windows in the Cloud. You can also catch the next Windows in the Cloud episode by Christian Brinkoff, February 14th. So please continue ak.ms/Windows in the Cloud for all the information. And y'all already know what I'll be doing. I'll be hovering over the taskbar to switch to my cloud PC. So thanks all for joining. Have a great day.